Reddit, what's your best funniest personal example of petty revenge? My wife is very picky about the mugs she has for different hot drinks. Tall mugs for coffee, wide mugs for tea, dainty cups for fruit teas. When she's being irritating and asks for a cuppa, she gets very plain, boring builder's mugs, and I delight at the mild irritation it brings. When I was a kid, I got the Sabrina the Teenage Witch handbook. It was full of kiddie experiences and stuff and was pretty fun. My older sister had upset or annoyed me about something, so I tried out one of the tricks from the book. You fill a cup with water and some corn kernels. Put some tin foil on top of the cup. The kernels eventually pop and it makes noise against the tin foil. I put it under her bed. It takes a few days to work, so I completely forgot about it. Until one night I woke up to my two sisters whispering. It had popped in the middle of the night and she thought there was a rat under her bed. Someone in my office would always crush lunches with his gigantic ass lunchbox. Either he ate bricks or lead, I don't know, but I always came to the office fridge and found that my lunch was in pieces. So, after 3 bouts of this, and numerous notes from myself and other colleagues, I carefully removed his lunchbox, emptied the contents, a gigantic sandwich, a Twinkie, chips, some vegetable pieces, and a few other bits, ran over them with my car. I carefully packed it back in, and put it back. He kept his lunch in a cooler by his cube from then on. The obligatory RIP inbox. The also very obligatory thank you for the gold. My first. I once had a colleague I hated. He was very condescending and really arrogant. So I put an extra Bluetooth receiver in his computer for a computer mouse and kept the mouse in my drawer. I would just open my drawer and it would mess it right up. Kept it going for like 2 months. He was about to murder the world when I thought I better stop. Kid stole my water bottle. I opened it up and left it inside his backpack. Speeding up a co-worker's double click speed and watch him squirm when his normal double clicking speed isn't working. This happened to my son when he was at university. Another comment here reminded me of it. His class were doing presentations in pairs, and he got paired with some girl who didn't bother to bring notes or research information for their presentation. She instead let him do all the work, and any slides she did were made from his notes and research. He complained to his tutor and she told him, don't worry, leave it to me. And then the day of the presentation comes. They present. And then at the end the tutor asks the girl a question. If I remember correctly, the question was something like, is there any evidence to suggest that some cultures are more prone to mental health problems? And the girl answered no. The tutor then asked my son the exact same question. And because he'd actually read the research on the topic, he was able to list of several studies that showed that some cultures are in fact more prone to mental health issues. The girl glared at him the entire time he answered the tutor's question. Pretty sure she ended up with a D, while he got an A or B. Edit. Change whilst to while. As requested. When I was a kid I had a bedwetting problem. I am not ashamed of this now, as thousands of other kids have had the same problems. At the time, however, this was humiliating. My younger brother started telling other kids around school how extensive the issue was. I was mortified. Even after our mother told him to knock it off, he continued. So I decided to level the playing field. The whole hand and cup of warm water deal didn't work. I stood over him as he slept one night and pissed on him. The next morning, my mom was horrified and wound up taking a call from my grandmother. I don't know what to do. Now both of them are pissing the bed, she explained, clearly frustrated. After a few more times of framing my brother as a bedwetter, he completely stopped using my embarrassing problem as entertainment. In college, early 1990s, I lived with several guys in a suite. One liked to call me Chunky A. Yes, I was chubby. I still am. But I have lost a lot of weight and I am continue to lose more. I asked him politely but firmly to not call me that. He laughed and did it more. I proceeded to call up every infomiracle I saw on TV to send him baldness cures. He was losing his hair. Tourist information from places like Iowa and Nebraska. Had information sent to him about adult bedwetting, etc. He accused me of it. And I told him, why would I do such a thing to him? I kept it up for 2 years while he lived in the dorms. His junior year, he moved out to an off-campus place. I found out where he lived and I waited a couple of months and started it all over again. Yeah. I bombarded him with junk mail. Edit. Spelling. My boyfriend's uncle and 7-year-old cousin live upstairs from us. His cousin has a tendency to be a little brat. I was holding her Yorkie when she came over and yanked her from my arms. No more than 20 minutes later I went out and bought some dog treats. Every day when I come home I give the dog a treat. Now the dog waits by our door instead of hers. Back when I was studying engineering, it occurred to me to try and find an app on my iPhone for those Panasonic projectors in lecture rooms. So I get the app and it just let me connect to the one in the class without a password or anything. I have a friend who is one of those perpetual pranksters. You can't leave your PC or bag or food drink unattended when he's around. So I beam a picture of him onto the projector. So the lecturer is just talking away and this goofy picture of my mate is on the screen. Lecturer doesn't realize yet. People in the lecture start waking up and giggling a bit. Now I use the pen function and draw a D on the picture too. Mate was red in the face and trying to hide. Lecturer finally noticed and says, "Michael, why is there a picture of you on the screen?" Finally, for a fleeting moment I actually wrecked the ducker. I had a 6-month school internship at a mobile phone store. The boss was a total asshole that treated his school interns like full paid workers, even gave me some concerning money responsibilities. A while after the internship he called to tell me I would have to give a statement at court. He had a problem with some customer and a shipment and he planned to tell the court that he explained me everything concerning shippings precisely. Of course he didn't. And of course I didn't lie in front of the judge. My boss attorney gave me a look I will never forget when he realized his stupid plans didn't work out. Few weeks later my now ex-boss tried to call me again. I didn't pick up. Duck this guy. We had a guy in our office take a crap in the bathroom every day after lunch and it would stink up the whole office. The manager asked everyone who needed to vacate their bowels to please use the lobby bathroom since our office was small and we only had the one bathroom. He didn't listen. Fortunately, he was like clockwork, so 5 minutes before he went and I took all the toilet paper. That's right. I forced the man to live with a dirty ass. A guy at work pissed me off. I placed this Craigslist ad with his phone number. 2 free goats. Habless Espinal. He spent the rest of the day getting calls every 15 minutes or so. When I was about 13, I was snooping around my older brother's room and found a stack of $20 bills stashed away. He was saving up from his high school job to buy a car. Hundreds of dollars. To 13-year-old me it was a fortune. And I figured he wouldn't notice if I stole just $120. Still a lot of money to me. So I did. For years I would remember it every once in a while and feel guilty. The worst part was, when I took the 20, he was also a teenage kid and probably knew exactly how much money was there. He probably knew I took one but let me get away with it because he figured I needed it. That made me feel much worse. 15 years later, I'm hanging around with him on the holidays. I see that he left his wallet on the counter. And he's upstairs. I sneak into his wallet. See there's a few 20s. And I slide an extra one in there. Got him. My sister posted a very anti-LGBT article on Facebook when the North Carolina bathroom bill was passed. She claimed she no longer felt safe shopping at Target if she might be forced to use a bathroom with a trans person. The horror. So for her wedding the following month, I got her a Target gift card. Zoxo. Your very gay brother oon. Edit. To clarify, this happened last year. Sorry for the confusion. My missus leaves tea bags in the sink so I put them in her wallet. Back in college, I was sitting in the library trying to work on an assignment. All was quiet for a while until this one obnoxious guy came in and sat at a table near me and proceeded to pull out his phone and have the loudest, most obnoxious conversation with one of his friends. Lots of bro, seriously bro, and yada yada. I was about to pack up my things and find somewhere else to work when the conversation turned to Netflix. The guy told his friend he should just use his account, and proceeded to loudly state his email address and password for all to hear. This was too good of an opportunity for me to pass up. So I promptly logged in and navigated to the LGBT section and started adding the gayest movies I could find to the top of the queue. I like to think that both guys ended up thinking the other one added the movies to the queue but were too shocked to ever say anything to each other. A drunk guy harassed me on the tube one night in my way home. About 2 minutes after his last ducking stuck up itch, he fell asleep. Deeply asleep. So I took out my lipstick, gorgeous coral color, and drew all over his face. Yes, I may also have been drunk. I think I was trying to read my book with one eye closed to help me focus. Yep. So I got off at Acton and watched him snooze away down the Heathrow branch. Asshole. I hope he woke up with lipstick all over his pillowcase and a pissed off missus. My least favorite college roommate was also one of my best friends. He was the drum set guy. Dude ducking come on IT's 1 AM on Tuesday. No reprieve. He also invented knee hockey, which was street hockey. Your knees. In the hallway of our tiny condo type dorm. I itched about it all the time. Bro, come on, Jesus, duck. He'd be all okay no problem and then go back to it. Anyway, one night he had a big important thing one morning. I grabbed a hockey stick and just slammed it out of his bedroom door. I slammed it until he had no choice but to get out of bed and be pissed off. He came storming out eventually and we wrestled on the ground for a while, but I feel like it was worth it. Edit. Turns out we're gay, I guess. Obligatory, not me. But this is a little long, but one of my all-time favorites. In Texas, there is a law that allows the US to take certain possessions to satisfy a debt owed, such as from a lawsuit. So this defendant had been committing Medicare fraud, got caught, has to pay back the money. He's also a total prick during the lawsuit, obstructionist, rude, etc. When the US finally has its judgment and he's pleading poverty, the US attorney that ran the suit basically ends up walking through the impoverished guy's multi-million-dollar house to handpick what is going to be seized. He takes the big ticket items that he's allowed, but it's not going to be enough, so then he just starts taking little to piss the guy off. Book half read on the nightstand, gone. Can't take the garage, but you can take the garage door opener. So, gone. I don't know what else he took, but I think the idea is brilliant. The book would piss me off so much. Had a chief warrant officer in Iraq throw a bottle of petroleum jelly at me after I got done ranting about something I've long since forgotten. Told me to go take care of it and come back when I feel better. During his afternoon siesta, I spent an hour covering everything on his desk with it in the most inconspicuous spots. For example, inside the handle of a coffee mug, underneath the handle of the Keurig pod loader, behind the canister holding Keurig coffee pods. Anyway, he could grab something and not see it without first inspecting it. He came back and proceeded to curse at a rate never witnessed before, as he had to continuously wipe all the jelly off his hands every 3 minutes. He caught the jelly on the inside rims of his over-the-ear headphones before he rimmed his ears with it. But the best came after I let him calm down and get back to work. Everyone else in the office watched me do it. No one said a thing, but they all had their eyes on me as I waited 5 minutes before picking up my phone on my desk and slowly dialed the number at his desk. It rings. Everyone turns to look at him. He's on the computer, picks up the phone, slaps it to his ear. Radio Battalion Simosnov H. Turns his head. Ear was caked full of petroleum jelly I had dumped all over the earpiece of the phone. Master Guns and Major told me these antics and pranks made that deployment. CW Orion. If you're reading this, sorry, not sorry. In 3rd grade, I was falsely accused by the hall monitor of talking during quiet time. Even after my dad came in and talked to the teacher, she still punished me by keeping me from watching a movie and eating the cinnamon bread with everyone else. So the day before the class watched the movie and ate snacks, I unplugged the bread makers right before we left school so no one would get any. I figured if I can't have it, no one can. A woman I work with literally stole this great story that I tell about me being in the same hospital at the same time that my niece was born. She tells it as it was her husband and she was in the hospital giving birth. She's a known one-upper. Everything you do she did it better, faster. It was worse for her etc, so it didn't surprise me when a co-worker told me she regularly tells clients that story. So now, every single day as I get in, I pour a tiny bit of my water bottle out on her desk, chair, or on the carpet somewhere in her office. In my mind, mold is slowly growing in her office. Her skirt gets wet when she sits down, or any fresh documents she sits on her desk get sat right in the small puddle of water. Okay, this one is pretty gross. But growing up in a house of only girls, Personal space does not exist. We used to bathe in front of each other and even use the bathroom in front of each other. There are no boundaries. My younger sister was notorious for shaving in the tub and not rinsing it out when she was done. Pubes everywhere. One day she was taking a bath and I asked her to rinse when she was done because I planned on taking a bath afterwards. She told me to duck off, so I reached in my pants, snipped off a chunk of pubes, tossed them in the tub with her, and walked out. As a nurse, we had this god-awful patient who made all our lives hell. Needed pain meds on the dot, needed to smoke every half hour, sat on the call light all damn day. This person was possibly the rudest human being I've ever met, treated us like slaves, and was drug seeking. It finally came time for discharge, and this patient decided to come up with a whole bunch of new medical problems. I have chest pain, I have nausea, one side of my body feels numb. So, being the very skilled and rational nurse I am, I asked the doctor for a whole new set of orders. First, I asked for lab draws every 3 hours, meaning needles every 3 hours, to check cardiac markers. Then I asked that the PT be placed on NPO status, nothing by mouth. For the nausea, this person couldn't go an hour without eating something. For the numbness, I requested the PT be placed on strict bed rest for 24 hours. And then have a physical therapy eval ordered, which meant no more going downstairs to smoke. I explained this all to the patient, and he says it. I just wanted to stay another night. I ain't doing any of that. I feel fine. Just give me my damn papers. Talked it over with the doctor on call. He gave me the all clear to discharge, and I had him out the door in an hour. I worked in a fish factory most summers when I was in my teens. And there was a boy who also worked there one summer who was an arsehole and a bully. I and another girl were his main targets. This was really disgusting verbal bullying, sexual and racial in nature. The other girl was of mixed race. He would yell his insults over the factory announcement system whenever he didn't have enough work to keep him busy. The foreman refused to get involved, so we took action. One day, we finished work before he did, and spotted his car out in the parking lot. His dad's car, actually. We looked at each other, went back into the building, got several rolls of toilet paper and a packet of menstrual pads and decorated the car with them. The car was seen by many of our co-workers, some of whom also witnessed the decorating and cheered us on. Once he got out he just stood there, blushing and embarrassed and wondering who could have done this to him. He was very subdued at work after that and the bullying nearly stopped. I hope because what we did made them realize what it felt like to be at the victim's end of it. Best thing about it was that everyone, including his brother, knew who had done it, and no one told him. Years ago I had a girl cheat on me with her ex. I never told her I knew, but inevitably broke up a week or two later mutually. I knew full well she would return to her ex immediately. I was bitter, but held it together. A month later, by a complete stroke of luck, her ex bought something online from a friend of mine. I ended up the ex-new boyfriend's phone number. A female friend of mine wanted to help me and posed as his side chick and called him and texted every night for a week asking when he was going to duck her again and to can't wait to see him again when his girlfriend goes to work. I'd listen in on every call. We'd hear my ex in the background going crazy about it and sometimes she'd even answer the phone. My friend did a terrific job. After a week we decided to up the ante. We drove by her house and his car was parked outside with the windows down. He put a pair of panties in the back seat. A few days later I get a call from my ex who had suddenly decided she wanted to return to me. After a bit of talking she exclaimed that her boyfriend had been cheating on her. Then I turned her down. Put up a Craigslist ad for a guy I couldn't stand. Free refrigerator. Runs great. Call between midnight and 4 AM. This happened a while back. Study hall in 8th grade actually. I always brought 2 small sandwiches to school so I could have one at lunch and one in study hall since our teacher let us eat in that class. One day as I was about to eat my sandwich, I get up to use the bathroom. As I walk back in the classroom, I see the kid in front of me eating my sandwich. I was pretty annoyed but nothing serious at this point. So I confront him politely and he denies it completely. I left my sandwich on my desk the next day just to make sure it was him. And what do you know? It is. So on the 3rd day, I hatched a plan. I put habanero cheese on my sandwich and then doused it all in ghost pepper sauce. That it was everywhere, but it luckily didn't smell spicy. I get to study hall and my plan works flawlessly. I leave my trap sandwich on my desk and get up to use the restroom. This time I take as long as I can and end up wandering the halls of the school. I did this because my study hall teacher was anal about the hall pass and only one guy was allowed to leave the class at a time, even for water. After about 10 minutes I come back into the class to be greeted by the sandwich thief crying hysterically with a bright red face waiting for the hall pass. He was in the bathroom for the rest of the day. A guy owed me money, but I wasn't immediately worried because we had done transactions before. This was a transaction via USPS. He started dodging me, ignoring calls and messages and all, but stayed active on Facebook, just ignoring me and deleting my comments and posts. After 3 months, getting progressively more impatient, I had had enough. I got the notification to approve him as a member of a Facebook group I'm in. I approved him, then made a big post in the group putting him on blast for it, tag and everything. He then added his mom and sister on Facebook and sent them messages. Mind you, the guy is in his 30s. He messaged me about it, and things are getting resolved if it slips again. However, I'm calling his work. Working for Amazon and committing mail fraud probably don't go well together. High school. We were in history class. I really had to go to the bathroom. The girl was already out and we were only allowed to leave one at a time. Fine. However, this girl often goes to the bathroom then just hangs out and is gone for like 30 minutes. So after 20 minutes I had to really go. I asked to use the bathroom. Denied. Teacher said someone was out already. I said she has been out for almost the entire class. I need to go. Someone texts the girl. She appears, looks pissed, yells at me in the hall. Petty revenge. She was trying to become our homeroom class president. Not really a serious position, but it was leadership and college apps usually need some kind of leadership spot. So it was an easy check mark on the app. Class was about 30 kids. 2 people were running. That girl and another. They said their 2-minute speeches. At the point where we cast our votes, I had a little group of the class, friends, vote for another one of us. A guy she hated and this guy gave no ducks about anything. So he won as a write-in. He was elected and she lost her little checkbox to a guy that didn't even want a spot. IDK if it made a difference. But I knew she thought that her college chances just decreased.